Wrath of Man is a 2021 action heist movie by Guy Ritchie. You may have been excited for this one because Guy Ritchie has done a lot of snappy action movies. Your typical Guy Ritchie movie has a lot of intelligent parties who encounter a problem with different motivations and everyone has a different accent. Then they get into these crazy situations where you're like, whoa, he was filming him that whole time, or whoa, they threw that guy out the window. They're clever and they make you feel clever. If this sounds fun to you, definitely watch these. Wrath of Man does not follow your typical Guy Ritchie formula. It's different from those three movies. It reminded me of Tenet, if you saw that. Except Tenet felt good. Even though I had no idea what was happening while I was watching it, I still felt excited. Wrath of Man feels kind of weird. It reads like a play you wrote in high school, where you thought it was clever, but you go back and read it, and it's painfully obvious that you wrote certain things in order to check character building and world building boxes. The first few lines of this movie were so stilted, I thought it was a joke, like it was a movie within a movie and someone was gonna yell cut and the characters were actually actors and this was not what the movie was about. Final verdict, you should not see Wrath of Man because the writing and acting are so bad it's distracting. Okay, if you don't want spoilers, that's the end of the video for you. Thanks for watching and come back once you've seen the movie. Actually, since you're not gonna watch this movie, spoilers don't matter, so keep watching this video. Okay, so I found some footage of this movie, but it's really janky. It's terrible quality and covered with ads for some slot machine website, and the text is in Russian. But I wanted to do this video so you can decide if you want to go to the movie theater or not. So we're gonna work with what we got. So plug in those headphones, crank up that brightness, and don't mind the black lines over the screen. There's a black line, it's covering a slot machine ad. So the first scene of Wrath of Man is these two guys getting into a truck talking about coffee.
Gotta get these hinges greased, Vic. Come on. The grease isn't the problem, though. It's the hinge. This is a creaky old dinosaur. This old girl should have been retired 10 years ago.
Yeah, well, they should have retired me 10 years ago.
Not you, Charlie. You're in your prime. I should know because we're the same age and I'm in my prime.
Awkward silence. This sounds like a joke, but for it to be a joke, we would have to know that Vic was like 60 and Charlie was like 30. We can't see Vic, so we don't know. He hasn't said anything about his age. The only person who said anything about his age is Charlie, who's probably at least 35 since he's been working for 10 years.
Hey, is that coffee still hot?
Yeah, it's hot enough.
All right, then. Do me a favor.
Charlie does something with the coffee here. Maybe takes off the lid and feeds it to him. Like, what could he want him to be doing? Also, whose coffee is this? If it's Charlie's coffee, why is Vic asking if Charlie's coffee is hot? If it's Vic's coffee, why is Vic asking Charlie if his own coffee is hot? How would Charlie know?
You ever thought about buying a coffee maker?
Maybe Charlie is coming in with hot coffee from the station and Vic wants him to top off his lukewarm coffee? That's even weirder than just drinking from Charlie's coffee.
Coffee maker?
You know, one that's got that milk froster thing.
Oh, yeah. Frother. I got you.
Yeah. That way then you can,
Thanks.
you know, make your own cappuccino.
So Charlie is saying that Vic should get a coffee maker in Vic's house so that Charlie doesn't have to bring him coffee from the station.
Oh, god damn. Yeah, I thought you said this coffee was hot.
What is this?
Then they're stopped by a cement mixer and some construction men who pull out guns and welding torches and bust open the truck and take the money. The drivers are both killed, which you see from inside the car through the windshield. The whole scene is shot from mostly a fixed camera, almost like a security camera in the back of the truck. The fact that you can't see the driver's face and he starts talking from off camera has the flavor of like eerie mob boss or maybe someone's voice that you're supposed to recognize, but none of this becomes important later. He just dies right away. So what was the point of that? I find myself asking that question during this movie. A lot. First off, cards. Why do movies these days label their acts with cards? What is this, 1920? I'm seeing a talkie, goddammit. I expect you to think about the transitions instead of just putting a black card with text. Cut to this guy, Patrick Hill, applying for a job as a driver for a cash truck company. So that's who those guys were in the first scene, drivers for a company that moves cash in armored trucks. This middle manager, Terry, explains that the job is dangerous and 2 of their drivers died last year, and a civilian was killed in the scuffle. But Patrick's references are great, so now it's time for him to take a proficiency test.
Patrick. Are you Patrick Hill? Yeah, no, please, don't get up. Good to meet you. Let's see. Hill. H. I'm gonna call you H, if that's okay.
This is awkward as fuck.
They call me Bullet, which is ironic because I certainly don't move like one.
H passes the proficiency test, so now he's going out on a job.
Name. He's H. H. Like the bomb. Or like Jesus H.
Do they not need the real names of the people they're checking the guns out to?
Try to keep your piece strapped like you should have done on prom night.
You're just unhappy, I'm happy.
Yeah, only man I know that married the first woman he banged.
Oh, that's nice. Who's your pal?
I'll explain later.
Bullet never explains, but you later find out that this guy is Sticky John, who has been put on garage door opener duty for an unspecified reason and is resentful of H for taking his place. So H and Dave go out on a job with Bullet supervising.
This is a $2 million pickup for back in the U.S. Dave will stay in the truck. H, you come in with me. You get to meet the lovely ladies who work the tills. Just be wary of Hot Betty.
If you're lucky, she'll only take your fucking arm off.
Now that the movie has teased Hot Betty, it cuts to Bullet and H meeting a security guard on the way out of the building. They already have the money and would have met him on their way into the building, but whatever. This is part of the reason why it sounds like a play written by a high schooler. A movie would tease Hot Betty, then show you Hot Betty, and it would be really inappropriate and hilarious. A play only talks about things that happen off stage because it can't show everything, because it needs to be showing you physical things happening in real time. And plus they need to fill time for people to change costumes and stuff. Okay, so Bullet and H are walking outside with the money.
I can picture it now. A paragon of modern man on a wild sojourn, stalking down the aisles, hunting for Pop-Tarts.
Nothing happens in the scene and nobody talks like this. A paragon of modern man on a wild sojourn? Using big words to describe going to the grocery store isn't funny. And here's another play thing. In a play, if you want to get that cart from one side of the stage to the other, you need to keep talking to fill up that time, because otherwise it's just a guy walking across the stage pushing a cart, and the audience is falling asleep. But a movie has complete control over what it can show you, so it doesn't need to show you the cart being pushed across the set. There are many, many creative ways you can say they've now filled up the money cart and are leaving the bank. Doing it with two guys walking and talking, nothing's at stake, no relationships are changing, is boring and sounds like a lazy port of a bad play. As if it wasn't enough that they didn't show us Hot Betty the first time, they then reference her again.
How'd your boy do? Did he survive the hostile territory of Hot Betty and the menopausal milfs? Did you make poo-poo or is your diaper still clean?
He did just fine. Hot Betty almost slid off her seat.
Oh, so there's juice in the old raisin yet.
I mean, I guess if you thought a horny but unattractive old woman was funny but didn't want to insult an actress by asking her to play her, you might just talk about it but never show it. Really, it just sounds like an existing play scene that nobody thought to convert into a movie. Bullet invites H out to the traditional after-work activity, drinks and pool. Before leaving, H stares at the key cards. Very mysterious, but why do people leave their key cards inside the building when they're going to the bar? Aren't key cards usually to get into a building? Sticky John tries to, threaten H by calling him
Jolly exciting, was it, mate?
British, but H is cold and intimidating.
I gotta give it to you, H. You're a real social magician. First you take his job, and then you make him cry in his beer.
I've now seen this movie twice, and I still don't get Sticky John. How exactly did H take his job? It wasn't like H was a really good candidate, so they replaced their worst guy with H, and that worst guy was Sticky John. H barely passed the entrance exam, so Sticky John must have been benched already, and he's just resentful of a new person who's not benched. But don't worry about it, because that's the end of the Sticky John resentment subplot for the rest of the movie. Bullet, H, and Dave go out on another job. This time, Bullet gets taken hostage. The bad guys hijack his radio and give H and Dave some instructions.
I can call this. No. There's a protocol for this. We have to drive away. We just drive away.
Sorry?
They don't want his 10 grand. They don't want his 10 grand. The money's in the truck. We have $2.5 million in here. If we take it away, they're not gonna hurt him. They're not gonna kill him for 10 grand.
Knife?
Dave's reaction is so weird that I couldn't tell if he was just freaking out or lying about the policy because he was scared. The truck robbers tell them to go to another location where they can exchange Bullet for the money from the truck. Lo and behold, H unveils his phenomenal shooting skills and takes out like 8 guys. I gotta say, I do like the idea of someone intentionally barely passing a test but having to show their real skills. It's like, why did they have real skills? Why were they trying to hide them? And of course...
You want knife? Did you like poo-poo?
Cut to the depot the next day, where 2 weirdly non-intimidating detectives are understandably questioning H about the attempted heist and why his shooting skills were so good, but he gives some vague answer and they immediately drop it. They have him watch the footage of the heist that took place in the first scene of the movie, and to see if he recognizes any of the guys from that heist and the one that just took place. H does not recognize anyone, but has a strange reaction to the footage and obviously was already invested in the event somehow. After the meeting, Terry tells him that people typically take time off after a holdup incident. He waited a whole day to explain this and told him right after the meeting. Right at that minute, the CEO of Fortico steps out of a room having overheard the conversation. See, this is a plaything. Things have to happen one after the other because there's a cost to showing different times or locations.
Mr. Hill. Hey, I'm Blake Halls. I own Fortico. I wanted to congratulate you for yesterday and to thank you in person. Meanwhile, the detectives are calling like their police chief / mob super boss, who is instructing them to let H accomplish whatever ulterior goal he has.
What you want us to do?
Not a fucking thing. Let the painter paint. Listen, there's a reason why I chose you two, because we have the same priorities. Now listen to me very carefully.
Meanwhile, H is back at his condo. Later they say this is a hotel, but the space outside the room he's in is not a hotel hallway, so multi-room hotel suite. A mystery woman knocks on his bedroom door and gives him some files.
Fortigo personnel files, pictures of Dana's family, and the autopsy report.
I guess she was downstairs in the condo printing those things? Or had a key to the condo, but instead of knocking on the front door, let herself in, but knocked on the bedroom door. Cards and titles? Christ. 3 months later, H and Bullet go on another pickup. You know they're on a pickup because you hear this riveting exchange.
You should get takeout. The blossom. The noodle soup at Neptune's is the bomb. I prefer the blossom. All right. You gonna call the order? I'm busy. I can see that.
What is this, paid product placement? LA shoutouts? Also, they can just order takeout on company time and drive in an armored truck to pick it up. Anyway, a motorcycle pulls in front of them, and it's another heist. Bullet immediately notifies the depot that they're being robbed. They gas the car, Bullet gets out, H puts a cloth over his face, but when H pulls his cloth down, the movie cuts to Terry reacting to the situation at his desk.
So let me get this straight. They just walked away.
I'm like, what is this, burn after reading? Then it cuts back to the robbers scattering from having seen H's face.
No, I'm sorry.
But what Terry is trying to say is that you're a legend. And if you keep this up, you won't just be an employee of the month. You'll have your own calendar and merchandise. Now get out there and keep crushing it. Why are you so cynical?
I'm starting to think he's a psychopath.
H has sex with the only female driver, Dana, but it was all a ploy to get her alone in her house to grill her for information. You later find out that H is investigating the incident that happened in the first scene of the movie to see if it was an inside job. He definitely targeted Dana first. Mystery Woman delivered pictures of Dana's family so he can threaten Dana and only Dana, but I don't know why he targeted Dana first. She has a mysterious 125K just sitting in her house that could have been from the inside job, but H wouldn't know that until after he had been to her house. So H picked her first because he thought he could sleep with her and therefore interrogate her alone in her house and didn't have a plan to get close to anybody else. It turns out that H had a son named Dougie, who is the kind of precocious person who thinks being smart means rattling off facts that no one asked for.
Do you know why they call the Arctic and the Antarctic the Antarctic? No, Dougie, I don't.
The writers would like you to know that H is a nice dad who pays for a good education even though he might be rough around the edges. So H and Dougie were supposed to go to a game, but H gets a phone call. It turns out that H is like a mob boss who was planning to hit the cash truck from the beginning. Someone needed to memorize the route of the cash truck, and his mob goons were supposed to do it, but are too incompetent, so H is going to have to do it. Also, the mob goons are the same guys from the Chinatown heist, so that explains why they recognize H. It's unclear why they didn't know H was working for Fortico, even though the police chief super boss knew he was working there. So H parks his car near the truck route and tells his goons which direction it went, but another party hits the cash truck, the construction workers from the beginning.
You know, make your own cappuccino. Oh, God damn. What is this?
Dougie is killed in the shootout and H is wounded. It's a fun setup and a good reveal with just enough hints about the civilian killed, H's lack of a family, and wondering why H joined Fortico in the first place. H wakes up in the hospital and finds out his son is dead. He has an ex-wife, I guess, but you only see these two shots of her face. There's one of her crying from the top and one of her crying from the side. That's all you get, just this crying woman blob accusing him of being cold.
You are a cold cunt.
I'm surprised she can even leave the house, let alone go to her ex-husband's house for no other reason than to try to guilt trip him. The mob super boss tells H he doesn't have any leads on who killed his son, but here's a list of people to torture for information. This is the same guy who, as we previously saw at Fortico, was telling the detectives to let the painter paint. Apparently his name is the King. The goons have also been looking for leads while H was in the hospital, but they haven't found any. A weird song starts and it feels like a trailer, or like it was made just for the trailer.
Understood.
I hear a train a-coming. It's rolling around the bend. And I ain't seen the sunshine. I don't know where.
H mobilizes his goons and tortures and kills a lot of underworld-type people looking for leads about who killed Dougie. One interrogation scene cuts directly into this scene of this goon named Mike talking to someone in a car.
Pass me the water.
You all right?
Got a feeling I've been cleaning up all day.
Mike.
This is a mid-interrogation smoke break. H and the other goons are inside interrogating some more people on the list, while Mike is outside complaining to someone in a car. Like, why is there a smoke break? Shouldn't you be sort of on task for this kind of thing? The people they were interrogating are teen prostitute pimps? I don't know, they have some teens locked in their house. There's a video playing like they were making illegal porn, but they also hit cash trucks? Or they could have been cash truck hitters who had like sex slaves and have questionable porn just playing in their house all the time. And H and crew arrived for the interrogation, but nobody turned the TV off. I don't know. I think the real crime here is that this is now a third party who also robs cash trucks in the same city. Are there really that many cash trucks that robbing them is a viable business? And all these cash trucks are just getting smashed open like juicy coconuts, yet the cash truck companies have not upped the security. H decides he's going to take a break from interrogating people and go back to London. Cut to H planning to leave London, and Mystery Woman is fixing him up with all the papers he needs to get back into the US.
Usual fare. This time you're Patrick Hill from Lewisham. You've got a driver's license, passport, IRS papers with a full tax history and medical records.
Okay, I guess a network of corruption and hacking magically makes all this possible in the drop of a hat. Then she follows H back to America and is like his live-in secretary at his hotel. New backstory, new black card. It turns out it was really just this group of bored veterans led by... Wait, is that the burn notice guy?
How you holding up, Sam?
What's to say? Wake up late, watch TV, drink a beer and watch more TV. Maybe convince Ma to give me a few bucks so I can buy more beer and watch TV until I'm drunk enough to fall asleep. Did I mention I watch TV?
You're awfully quiet, Brad.
I'm not quiet. I'm bored.
Bored of what?
Not fucking working. I'm built for combat, not daytime TV. The Afghanis treated us better than our own. I wish I was back in the unit. Boredom's more dangerous than bullets. Give me an enemy I can fucking see.
How about you? You working yet, boss?
Still part-time at the mall. Costing more than I'm making. Was for Amy's parents. Would be on the street.
Yeah, it seems like Carlos is the only one who landed on his feet with the oil tycoon.
At least one of these people is married and has a nice family, but they still spend an exorbitant amount of time with their loser friends who all they do is sit around talking about how bored they are. They're so bored and entitled that they decide to rob Carlos's employer, but don't make a lot of money, so they decide to rob a cash truck instead for $1.8 million.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, and don't forget, Jackson has a nice family. We only put this in so you'd be sad when he died later. Jackson tells the crew that he has a new job, a cash truck with $6 million. They know this because they have an inside man. Obviously, this is Bullet. There's just no one else it could be. This job, it turns out, is the heist from the beginning of the movie. Now you see it a third time from the vet's point of view. Apparently, they didn't mean to kill the guards and Dougie. Dougie was laying on the ground. One of the guards pulled a gun on Jan, so Jan shot the one with the gun. And the other one, just to be safe. Then he looks over at Dougie, sees that Dougie witnessed him shooting the guards, then thought, I need to get rid of all the evidence? Better double down on my crazy? Jan is a loose cannon, so the vets don't do another job for a while, but eventually they reconvene to go after a job for $158 million. So they hatch an absurdly complicated plan to rob the entire cash truck depot. This involves 1. Bullet lets 4 of the vets into his truck. 2. Bullet Trojan horses the vets into the depot. 3. The 4 guys open the depot gates from the inside. 4. Then the other 2 vets come in. 5. They close the gates so the police can't get in. 6. They incapacitate or kill everybody inside. 7. They load all the money into one cash truck. 8. They reopen the gates and drive the cash truck through the police cars. A, but they have to do this before the SWAT trucks get there because they can't drive through SWAT trucks. B, SWAT trucks take exactly 8 minutes to arrive. 9. They lead the police cars on a car chase into a parking garage that A, they can close with a remote, and B, is connected to an escape tunnel that the police don't know about.
They stopped printing this back in 57.
And they've stashed 2 quads at the beginning of this tunnel, and they've stashed a Prius at the end of this tunnel. 10. At the beginning of the tunnel, they load all the money from the truck onto the 2 quads. 11. At the end of the tunnel, they load all the money onto the Prius. 12. Prius makes its getaway. By the way, how did they get all these complicated helmets and guns and smoke bombs and bulletproof full bodysuits? Here, I wrote a scene for you, Guy Ritchie. Is everyone ready for our heist tonight? Of course, Bernie. Old General Glockenspiel came through and let me into the military warehouse, and I got all the stuff. So Bullet is driving to do step 1, pick up the 4 guys. He decides to tell H about the heist for some reason.
I tell them which trucks to hit, and they hit them. The 2 guards being killed was necessary. The boy was unfortunate.
So from Bullet's point of view, H is a guy who protects money at all costs, so wouldn't Bullet be afraid of H, like, killing him right now? Not only should he be afraid of H killing him or messing up the heist, he also didn't really help the vets get into the cash truck game, or even tell them which trucks to hit. They had already hit a cash truck at another company before going to Fortico, and he's only told them about 1 truck at Fortico. Also, how was killing the truck drivers necessary? They were only killed because they pulled out a gun. It was a mistake. Everybody was mad at Jan. It wasn't planned beforehand, and it was a mistake that almost made the vets stop hitting cash trucks. Also, Bullet is willing to burn out his entire career and reputation and shoot all his friends. He literally brought the vets into the building, so there'd have to be no witnesses for this to work, unless he just disappears to another country or something. But as the movie so ham-handedly pointed out, he's happily married to his high school sweetheart, so maybe Bullet and Mrs. Bullet and all the kids are moving to Afghanistan? Maybe the vets have hooked him up. Even though it's a silly plan, this sequence is pretty good. Besides your standard, like, bulletproof vests aren't that good in real life, you got Burn Notice going over the plan as it's happening, lots of action, everyone you remember from the depot dying one at a time. Eventually it's just Jan, the one who actually killed H's son. He gets away with all the money, kills people on his own side so he can have a bigger share, you know the drill. H tracks him down with the help of the king and shoots him in all the same places that he shot Dougie.
How do I? His name was Dougie.
So that's it. That's Wrath of Man. There were some good parts, some memorable parts, a decent revenge story, but unfortunately the first half hour is so distractingly bad that I feel bad for even playing clips of it, so I can't recommend it. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if there are other movies that you want to know if you should see them or not, and I will go watch them for you and run them through the grinder.
Let's see. Hill. H. I'm gonna call you H if that's okay.